Professor Henry Powell received his medical degree from the University College Dublin in 1970, and in 1971 came to UCSD and trained in anatomic and clinical pathology. During his 36 years as a faculty member, he was the director of neuropathology and also interim chairman of the Department of Pathology. He currently teaches first and second year medical students, first year School of Pharmacy students, and pathology residents doing neuropathology and electron microscopy. He previously served as vice chair and later chair of the UC Academic Council. All right, so I have a list of questions for you.
Yes, please.
And the first question will be, can you please talk about your first introduction to Chancellor Scholars?
Yes. I retired fiscally in just 10 years ago. And shortly after, I was walking across the campus and I saw or noticed the RRC building. And so I decided I should go and find out what programs they had. And so I was introduced to Suzanne, and she was very keen that I should sign up right away. And so I became a life member of the Emeriti Association and have been very happy to be involved with this program that involves undergraduate students because my teaching in the medical school and also when I did it in the School of Pharmacy has been at graduate level students. So it's interesting to work with undergraduate students. And so I am very happy to have that opportunity.
Yeah, that kind of leads into the second question. Since you are a mentor in the Maritime Mentor Program, what motivated you to become a Maritime Mentor?
Well, I've always been a mentor, and I was well mentored as a medical student in Dublin. And I realized that this is something very helpful when a student is trying to organize their thoughts and trying to plan where they're going to make their effort. If you have a mentor to talk to, that can be a neutral person, not a person who's going to give you answers necessarily, but somebody who is there listening to your experience and trying to answer whatever questions you do ask them.
Yeah, and I've personally also experienced that for you, so thank you very much. All right, next question. What motivated you to make a gift to the Chancellor Scholars Award, and did it grow from your personal experience?
Well, what motivated me was seeing that this program existed and hearing about how it works. And that was very much Suzanne's persuasion. But I should also say that this unique program, the Chancellor Scholars Program, is in part the idea comes from Professor Mel Green, who's a emeritus professor of biology, and he encouraged the chancellor to facilitate increasing the number of scholarships. There was a program called the Chancellor Scholars, and there are people, including one of the mentors, who was herself part of the program, a student beneficiary of the program. But when I heard about it, what appealed to me was that it was unique. It was unique to UCSD. And also, since we don't have children in college, it was an opportunity to put some money where it would be helpful to somebody else and help them get on with their education. And I do feel very strongly that a university education, it's, I think, almost a requirement in this time. That's not to say that a person cannot acquire skills that will give them an economically healthy life. But to me, it's the life of the mind that matters most. And for that reason, I've been very attracted to the idea of a program such as the Scholars program. My wife has been very supportive because that's very important, that if you're making gifts, it has to come from both partners, and that she's always been very generous and very supportive. And so I think that this is a program that's unique to UCSD. We have had conversations with people at UC Irvine because the head of their Emeriti Association would love to have a program like that. But we're very lucky here that we had Mel Green, we have Suzanne, and we also had a very supportive chancellor in Marianne Fox, who's the previous chancellor of UCSD. She saw how valuable this is. And since she had raised and mentored 4 sons, she knew how important getting their professional education and so forth was.
Yeah, that also kind of explains how deeply you feel about supporting us students, and especially in this program, we're very
Yes,
appreciative of it.
there is something else that's very close to my heart, and that is when I grew up, I heard from my mom how she had really wanted to go to college. And the family were running a farm, a big ranch, and the women were expected to stay and keep all the cooking and other things going. What my mother really regretted is that she never got a college education. And I also regretted very much because I could see how smart she was. And at the same time, she hadn't developed the critical thinking, those capacities that are developed in college, particularly in programs that emphasize humanities and literature and all the things that allow us to grow as people. So for me, this is very important, trying to help people who might be like her and who were not able to have the opportunity.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into the next question. Does making this gift correspond with your core life values?
Yes, absolutely. Because when I look around the university, I see not only a place where people can take courses and get degrees, but also the university is a tremendous cultural center here in San Diego. We have nationally recognized theater. We have great musicians, as you know yourself. And to me, a university is an absolute oasis of civilization when you have things like that. At one point at UCSD, we had a beautiful bookstore, but the cost cutters on the campus got rid of that, which I think is a great shame, because a bookstore was a good place to meet people, talk about books, and buy interesting books too.
Yeah. All right. And the next question, is it important to mentor the recipient of your donation to see firsthand the positive effect on the recipient?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I uh, I've never been very clear on how the gift translates into a specific benefit for a specific student. But my feeling is yes, because if I know who is getting the benefit, and then later when they graduate and go on with their lives, if they stay in touch with me, that's a very nice thing. And I should say here that before mentoring undergraduate students, many of the people I mentored were pathologists in training. And then later, when I would go to national meetings, I would meet people who I was involved in their training. And that is a wonderful, wonderful experience because they are really appreciative of what goes into both mentoring and being mentored. And so for me, that is something that I appreciate very, very much. Okay.
Yeah. And then the next question is, how do you see scholarships as leveling the playing field?
Okay. This is a really, really important question. You've read, I'm sure, about legacy students in private university where a person can gain admittance to a very high quality private university simply because their parents had gone to that university. And I'm not disparaging those connections because actually those connections can be important in a positive way. But the thing that bothers me is that the most important principle, I think, should always be merit. Um, the students who perform well in high school, who show that they can gain a benefit from going to a good university, then that is very, very important. And so I really like the idea. I think the tragedy is that we don't have more resources to help more people, but also our program, the mentors program, is limited by the number of retirees who are available and willing to mentor, because when people retire, they could very well say, I'm going to start something new and do something different. But by and large, the people who are the mentors in this program are people who had a happy experience in their work as faculty and staff here at the university, and who made connections with other people and got to know those people. And so I feel that UCSD is more important to me as an employer. It's more important as a community that I belong to. And I have spent much of my time uh, mentoring people and working with people who have medical backgrounds to come in to the Chancellor Scholars program and to mentor people who are interested in subjects like literature, music, history, economics. This is all very attractive to me. And so I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then that's also, you kind of touched on this question, but why do you think that major scholarship donations are important at UCSD?
Because otherwise, there are people out there who may never get a college education, and those are lost opportunities. And the University of California was actually created for people all over the state from every background. And it was originally created by people who came from the East Coast and who were members of a religious society. However, the university became a secular university. And of course, the university is a place where scientific discovery is enormously important. And, and that affects every area. Like you as a music student, some of your faculty are composers, and they're creating something new that didn't exist before. And that's a very, very important function. And so the universities are like islands where you have very talented people, and they are all in the process of improving their own intellectual skills. And so then along with that goes the opportunity to mentor other people.
What impact do you believe your scholarship donation is having?
Um, well, When I'm thinking of one student. I'm not going to mention the name of any student I've ever mentored because those things are confidential and the information could be obtained through Vanya, who is very discreet. But I am thinking of a student who, all through her 4 years, I had regular discussions as part of her mentoring. And then she got the job she really liked in private industry and is doing very, very well and contacts me every year just to let me know what's going on in her life. And I appreciate that very, very much. Of course, other people who we mentor, they may go to the East Coast. I mean, it's very good if you have an education in California and then you go to other parts of the country. I mean, I think one of the greatest successes of America, and I say this as an immigrant to the United States, is we have a world-class university system. It's one of the glories of the United States. Now, I also, my family, my Irish family, are involved in education too, and they're in the European Union. And there, one of the things that I really appreciate is every high school student who graduates in a European country gets a free year of college in any university in the European Union. All they have to do is name the place they want to go to, and they go there. Young people in Europe now are saying that this is the most valuable thing because now they're learning how the European countries all work together and how they can improve opportunity for their own citizens. And I think that's a good thing.
Definitely. And you also have touched on this question,
Oh,
but I'll ask it again. How have you seen your scholarship recipients grow and evolve over time? Are there any other examples you'd like to share?
Iris, she's from Bosnia originally, and wonderful student, did very well. And so I hear from her regularly, but I know I've mentored other people. There's something else, Sophia, that I actually have spent uh, a very large amount of time in the business of our retirement association, both the one here at UCSD and then the system-wide one for the University of California. So I've been working with professors at Davis and Berkeley and LA and Irvine. And so I've been doing this now for the past 10 years. I am stepping down in a couple of months from being chair of the Emeriti associations for all the universities of California. And then I will be available to mentor more students and give more time to those who are being mentored by me. And so it's interesting that one can have so many activities that are related to the program, as well as being a mentor to individual students.
Yeah, and it's a very amazing opportunity you have. And again, thank you so much for helping students like me even, your mentorship is always very appreciated. And I guess the last question I'm gonna ask is, do you have anything to say to anyone else who may be considering making a gift to scholars, Chancellor Scholarship?
Yes, I would say that I cannot think of a more worthy cause because not only do I know that the the gift is being when I give a specific gift, what happens is then the university multiplies that gift, and so the gift is like part of a down payment, and then the university turns it into an opportunity. And then a student who's good enough to be in the university on their own merits, but don't have the available financial, so they get this program. And so I also think that it can be a very small thing can turn into a real consequence in the life of a student. And I'll give you an example. I've become I've always been very interested in the history of the University of California. And I remember reading a story, which is in one of the books about the story of the University of California. And there was a president of the University of California back in the days when Berkeley was the only campus. And he used to ride his horse around the campus and talk to professors and students as he went around the campus. And one day there was a student who just come to Berkeley, and this student was really someone who loved literature and was struggling with math. And he was feeling kind of depressed and sad and wondering whether he should continue his career, when along came this man on a horse and lifted his hat and saluted the student. Well, the student felt, nobody's ever done that for me before. Nobody's ever done, and he was motivated to keep going. Now, he ended up, his name was Irving Stone. He ended up writing some of the most popular books in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. All of us read books by Irving Stone. He was just a prodigiously gifted writer. Now, if he'd gone in the other direction, or if he hadn't met the man on the horse, he would have missed that opportunity to give him that little extra bit of courage to persevere. And so I would say that one of the things that we can do as mentors, the first 3 months of college are very hard. And then after that, it's still hard. But if you've made it through the first 3 months and then make it through the first year, then your mental muscle is getting better all the time. And so that's when a mentor can sometimes be helpful in discussing the obstacles and helping the student to understand that others have been in that situation, and through perseverance. My Irish great-grandmother used to say that patience and perseverance would bring a snail to Jerusalem. And so that piece of folk wisdom is always in the back of my mind.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your information, motivating others to make the gift to this program. It was very nice to interview you, Professor Powell.